Good morning. Let's have a look to some soft tissue techniques of the forearm, mobilization techniques for the wrist and the finger joints. Whenever we want to improve function of the hand, let's start with soft tissue work on the muscles between the wrist and the elbow. The extensor muscles, very deep stroking between the muscle benches, transverse circulatory movements, and if you find some tender spots, you just move on them with circulatory frictions, transverse friction, and so on. The same on the flexor part. Deep stroke between the singular fascias of the muscles, circulatory movements, local technique if necessary. For the hand, we can use a lot of these double thumb techniques whenever you have a patient with some carpal tunnel syndromes, with some edema in this part, or even some symptoms and signs of nerve adhesion. Like this, we can do it as well, it's more intense. We work here within the palm. All chronic tendinitis patients, they have edema in the palm. So let's try to work it out. As they are deep inside the deep layers of the tissue, go deep into it. Start by the carpal tunnel, then on the beginning of the palm, and then go deep into it. I just move it in this direction. Whenever I have done quite a bit of that work, I go back to the carpal tunnel and I start again to move the edema towards the wrist. Another soft tissue technique which very often is helpful, I massage between the metacarpal bone. This space which is filled up of muscles can be very tight, and working like this, looking for the painful spots and working on them can be very liberating. Very often malfunction of the hand is as well accompanied by muscle tension. So if I relieve these tensions, then muscle function can be better. In particular between thumb and the index finger. Now let's come to some mobilization technique. A very general global technique, it's not specific, is this one. I hold radius and ulnar bone, I hold the metacarpal bones, and I just do these movements. Let it show me with my hands. I do like this. And I can shift with my hand. I go towards the metacarpal bones, and then I come back with my thumb to the carpus and then to radius and ulna. It's unspecific but highly efficient. Therefore, before I start with specific mobilization technique, I do a lot of this general technique. Wherever you have stiffness, we can start with that. I can hold now on the radial part and then move the ulna. I can hold ulna and I move radius. The same technique I can do like this. I move radius against ulna. Let's do it in a middle position of rotation, because if I go into full rotation, it will be blocked. A helpful technique is distraction. I'm just pulling. It is longitudinal. I create distraction so there is a bit more space between the little carpal bones. Another healthy technique we use very often, I grasp the saddle joint here and I move it in a circular movement. Or I pull it, distraction. Be careful that you are not only pulling here, that you really pull the first section of the thumb. Distraction movement is useful for all finger joints. Just do them in a slight flexion position. If you have a really stiff joint, do a lot of distraction first before you start to move the more specific anterior-posterior gliding movements. The same here, or the same here. Gliding movements are like this. Okay. The mobilization of the finger joints, anterior-posterior gliding. I always do it a little bit in flexion. You can do it on the proximal interphalangeal joint and a little bit on the distal interphalangeal joint. Let us remember rotations. We cannot rotate the fingers by ourselves, but it is a joint play movement. Therefore, in a stiff finger joint, as soon there is a bit of distraction, as soon as there is a bit of movement, work on a rotation. A very simple but effective technique is finger extension. I try to extend them and then I extend the wrist. Show it again. I extend the fingers and then the wrist. So we will have a good stretching of the palmar part of the hand. And while I'm going into dorsiflexion, this finger is just helping to become extended and to have a good arch. If I don't press with my finger, it will become like this. But I want to have it very straight. There we go. Good extension, dorsiflexion will give a complete palmar stretching. Whenever you work on the thumb, keep secure that the thumb will open nicely. We very often see the problem that there is an extension deficit, but it is really the opposite of the opposition movement. This opening movement here and that part is not there. So make sure that you really open up nicely, that you have the stretch inside here. To do work on the hand, it's always helpful to do a warm water bath before, so that the hand is nicely warm, good circulation and the muscles are relaxed.